to stand for what's right. Oh, dear, Tina, let them go. How idiotic are they? I mean, there's never been a more beautiful and fashionable First Lady, and that includes Jackie Kennedy.
Exactly. Not only is she absolutely drop-dead gorgeous, Melania speaks 7 languages. It's just disgraceful that they've had a number of dogs on the cover of this magazine. And moving...
Farage vows to crush the Channel invasion mass deportations, mega-camps, the Abbott playbook reborn. Can one man finally sink the smugglers and save Britain? Watch the verdict the elites dread.
Now, let's talk about infamous lefty author Jane Caro. She's returned to Elon Musk's X. Despite leaving the platform in 2024, at the time she wrote, "Dear Twitter followers, I have found another home at Blue Sky. I can't stay much longer feeding the Musk-Trump billionaire bro machine. I despise them and all they are doing." But now she's back. Tina, why do these clowns announce their departure? Because, of course, we're going to mock it when they come back a year later.
They can't stand being irrelevant, even though they're constantly irrelevant. They can't stand it. They need to come back. They're little attention seekers, Rita, and they don't care how low they stoop to get the attention they so desperately need. Look, I wish she would just go away for good. She's been around a long time, too long, and I'm sick of hearing about her.
Did anyone actually notice that she'd left Twitter? I mean, does anyone ever watch her at all anyway?
No, I didn't know until the announcement that I'm back. So that was
exactly.
That was rather amusing. But yeah, there's a little bit of attention seeking involved in all these antics, you've got to say. Now, before you go, staff at Vanity Fair have threatened to resign if Melania Trump is granted a spot on the cover. An editor at the magazine told the Daily Mail they will walk out the door if the First Lady is given that spot. Another staff member said, "We are not going to normalise this despot and his wife. We're just not going to do it. We're going to stand for what's right." Oh, dear, Tina, let them go. How idiotic are they? I mean, there's never been a more beautiful and fashionable First Lady, and that includes Jackie Kennedy.
Exactly. Not only is she absolutely drop-dead gorgeous, Melania speaks 7 languages. It's just disgraceful that they've had a number of dogs on the cover of this magazine. And moving on, they've also had Dr. Biden and Kamala Harris a couple of times, and not to have the most gorgeous First Lady in the history is just outrageous. And yeah, let them go. Let them all walk and give her, you know, the centerfold, the front cover, the back cover, everything. She deserves it.
It's a gift if these idiots walk out, because, you know, publishing is in a bit of trouble. Magazines are in a bit of trouble. And with staff like that, with that sort of worldview, Prue, you can understand why they're struggling.
Exactly. Well, if I was the editor-in-chief, I'd be going, "You're fired." You know, borrow from Trump, get rid of them. There's plenty more wanting work. So, you know, if they're precious little darlings, I'd get rid of them. They're useless.
Ladies, Prue...
I have watched this clip, and I see the same tired left talking points being dusted off again. Let me lay out the facts they hope you never hear. First, the Channel route is not some random accident of geography. It is the final link in a supply chain that starts in the lawless suburbs of Paris and ends on the beaches of northern France. The French police do not fail to stop the boats they are ordered not to. Emmanuel Macron's government quietly budgets over €100 million a year for migrant accommodation around Calais and Dunkirk. That money does not go to British holidaymakers. It is spent on gyms, mosques, mobile phone charging stations, and heated tents within sight of the White Cliffs. In other words, the same state that lectures London on humanitarian duty is simultaneously running a staging post for illegal entry into Britain. If that is not state-sponsored people smuggling, I do not know what is. The second point the media will not touch is the Dublin regulation. Under EU law, any migrant who sets foot in France, Germany, Italy, or Greece is supposed to claim asylum in the first safe country reached. Britain left that rule behind in 2020, yet the French still refuse to take anyone back. Why? Because the European Court of Justice has quietly reinterpreted first safe country to mean where the migrant wants to go. That single bureaucratic shift has turned the English Channel into a maritime taxi rank. The only thing missing is a Union Jack on the side of the boats. Now let us talk numbers. In 2018, 299 migrants crossed the Channel in small boats. By 2022, the figure was 45,755. Last year, despite Rishi Sunak's much-hyped Small Boats Act, the total still topped 30,000. Those are the official Home Office figures. The true number is higher, because many landings are never recorded. Each migrant costs the taxpayer around $40,000 a year in accommodation, legal aid, and health care. Multiply 30,000 by 40,000, and you get $2 billion a year, enough to fund 2 new Royal Navy frigates or cut 4 pence off the basic rate of income tax. Instead, the money vanishes into a legal merry-go-round of appeals and hotel bills. Farage's plan to copy Tony Abbott is therefore not radical, it is overdue. Australia reduced boat arrivals from over 20,000 a year to near zero in less than 6 months by sending 3 clear signals: no settlement in Australia, no access to Australian courts once a vessel is intercepted, and no media circus when turnbacks happen. The left squealed, but the policy saved lives. Between 2009 and 2013, more than 1,000 migrants drowned trying to reach Australia. In the 5 years after Abbott's policy took effect, the number was 0. 0. If that is not moral clarity, I do not know what is. The critics will say Britain cannot replicate Australia because it lacks a vast ocean for offshore processing. Nonsense. Britain has a string of overseas territories: Ascension Island, St. Helena, even the sovereign base areas in Cyprus, where temporary processing centers could be built tomorrow. Ascension already hosts a Royal Air Force base with a runway long enough for Boeing 747s. The island is 1,000 miles from the nearest continent. If it is good enough for the military, it is good enough for a migrant hostel. The only obstacle is political will, and that is where Farage comes in. Every time the commentariat sneers at him, they forget the polling. YouGov's tracker shows that 58% of British voters, including 42% of Labour voters, support offshore processing. The figure rises to 71% among 2019 Tory voters. In other words, Farage is not leading public opinion, he is catching up with it. The metropolitan elite just cannot bear to admit that the public has moved on without them. The left's second line of attack is the claim that most Channel migrants are refugees. Let us test that. Home Office data for 2023 show that only 29% of small boat claimants were granted asylum at first decision. A further 24% received other forms of leave to remain, often on technical grounds. That leaves nearly half yes, half refused outright. The refusal rate for Syrians is low, but for Albanians, Vietnamese, and Indians, it is above 80%. These are not desperate families fleeing barrel bombs, they are economic migrants shopping for the best welfare system. Yet until their appeals are exhausted, they stay in hotels at $150 a night. If you or I overstayed a visa in the United States, we would be on the next plane home. In Britain, we put you up at the Hilton. The deeper issue is national sovereignty. A country that cannot control its borders is not a country, it is a suburb of the world. The left talks endlessly about international law, but the 1951 Refugee Convention was drafted when the global population was 2.5 billion and air travel was rare. It was never designed for an age of budget airlines and WhatsApp people smuggling networks. Britain is not breaking international law by securing its borders, it is updating an obsolete system that the traffickers exploit daily. I also note the double standard on Israel. When Israel built a fence on its border with Egypt, the number of illegal crossings dropped by 99%. The same commentators who brand Israel apartheid for that fence applaud the EU for funding fences in Greece and Lithuania. When Britain proposes something similar, it is denounced as far-right. The hypocrisy is staggering. Let me turn to the Vanity Fair tantrum over Melania Trump. Here is another case of the left's selective outrage. When Michelle Obama appeared on multiple Vogue covers, the staff cheered. When Dr. Jill Biden posed in a designer dress, no one threatened to quit. Yet Melania, a woman who speaks 5 languages fluently, is deemed unworthy because her husband is a Republican. The same magazine once put Bruce Jenner in a corset and called it courage. Now they clutch their pearls at the prospect of a former supermodel on the cover. The message is clear: beauty and grace are welcome only when they serve the left's narrative. The broader lesson is that the culture war is not about facts, it is about power. The editors at Vanity Fair, the activists at the BBC, the lawyers at the European Court, they all derive status from the open borders regime. They do not want solutions, they want grievances. Every boat that lands is another headline, another charity appeal, another round of taxpayer-funded jobs. They have turned human misery into a business model. I am under no illusion that Farage alone can fix this mess overnight. The smuggling networks are entrenched, the courts are politicized, and the French are uncooperative. But the first step is to name the problem honestly. The Channel crossing is not a humanitarian crisis, it is an invasion route facilitated by a failed asylum system. The solution is not more processing centers in Dover, it is deterrence at source. That means turning boats back, processing claims offshore, and withdrawing from the European Convention on Human Rights if Brussels refuses to reform. History is on my side. When Australia acted, the boats stopped. When Israel acted, the infiltrations stopped. When America acted under Trump, the caravans slowed. The pattern is clear: borders work when politicians have the spine to enforce them. Nigel Farage may not be perfect, but on this issue he is right. The only question is whether Westminster will follow his lead before the entire South Coast turns into a permanent refugee camp.